Hey parents, Pastor Will here, and I wanted to try to give you guys the quickest rundown I can of what we talked about at the Parent Powwow. There is a lot of information to get through with this, so I'm going to do my best to make it quick, but also give you all the full scoop on what's going on. So, just a good reminder for what we can expect with overall flow of youth this year. We're kind of splitting youth into seasons or semesters starting September 4th, and we're going to run through to around Thanksgiving. We'll get into details about that in a few minutes. Um, Youth is going to run from 6:15 to 7:45, and we're going to do our best to honor those time frames. Now, we mention that because a lot of times we'll have posted around the church that youth starts at 6:30, and it does. But we also do a snack supper before youth gets started. And we want to make sure that all of your kids are arriving before if they want to eat, so that we can really get the service started at 6:30. We'll have a game. I'll lead a few worship songs, and we might even build out the team a little bit beyond that as we move forward. Just kind of a wait and see thing there. We're going to take up an offering. We'll talk about that in a minute as well, and we'll have discussion or a message that'll be prepared. And I'm excited about that. And we put it down that way because some weeks it's going to be a small group feel, some weeks it's going to be a kind of upfront person teaching feel. But the cool thing with this year is we actually have a bigger team. So, our team this year, of course, Sarah and I are going to be running everything administratively. I'll be leading worship and we'll be teaching, but we're only going to be one of the teaching teams. We're excited to bring on Drew and Carrie Thomas, as well as Travis and Autumn Croup to be parts of the teaching team. We're going to rotate weeks where we teach, so you'll see one of us roughly every 3 weeks. And Sarah and I will be there most every week except for family nights, and we won't do worship on those nights. And then, of course, Jason Manning, very faithful and being there, and he's got like 1 week that he's gonna lead teaching, but mostly he's gonna be in charge of games. Super excited to have other people helping out. One of the big things for us this year is really making sure that this is a partnering with parents ministry, that we're not just doing all the things ourselves, but that we're working with y'all to make sure that ministry happens. So I mentioned earlier with the flow that we were going to be taking up an offering. Of course, that offering is not going to be going to us, it's going to be going to Speed the Light. Speed the Light is the youth giving arm for missions for the Assemblies of God. The biggest function that it serves is to help our West Florida Assemblies of God missionaries get vehicles once they get to the field. If you've been in our church for a while, you might know Joe and Cassia Daniels. They are a ministry couple that recently went to the Dutch Caribbean. They have like 4 or 5 kids, and they've helped lead worship in our church multiple times. Well, their vehicle that they have in the Dutch Caribbean was paid for by youth groups through Speed the Light. And of course, Speed the Light does some other things as well. It helps to fight human trafficking, and it helps to dig clean water wells in Africa. But the vehicle part, that's the bread and butter of that. And there are going to be a few creative things we're going to want to do to try to raise money for Speed the Light. Really get your kids excited about it. We'll be talking about that. And if you have any good ideas for missions fundraisers to get your kids involved, we'd love to hear from you on that. So this is going to be the meat and potatoes of what we want to talk about here. There is one date that is not on here, but it'll be in the calendar that we send out to you as well. But just running through our big event. So we're going to be kicking everything off starting September 4th. Um, then just honorable mention, the district is putting on an event for kids who feel called to ministry called Called Camp. I believe the cost is $55. It's going to be in Fort Walton Beach on the 7th of next month. Sarah and I won't be able to go, unfortunately, as we're going to have family in town. But if you have a student that feels called to ministry, we'd love to chat with you and see what we could get worked out, if we can get everyone there this year. If not, they're going to do this again. Phenomenal speaker, though. We've heard him speak 2 years ago at one of our district events, and it's going to be a great time. One of the things we're super excited about, though, this year is See You at the Pole. We love See You at the Pole, having our students gather for prayer outside the flagpole of their school on the 25th. I think most of our schools are going to have one of those already that's organized. See You at the Pole actually legally has to be a student organized event. So if your school doesn't have one that's planned, we'd love to work with your student to get one planned, and that's always a cool thing to be a part of. We've helped do that with elementary schools before. Love to um, try to help get that going where it's not going already. And of course, that night as well, we won't have youth service. We're all going to attend a See You at the Pole rally if they're hosting one, which we believe they are at Navarre High School that night. Our youth session one or semester one is going to end on the 20th with a Friendsgiving. Also, honorable mention on October 30th, we're going to be doing a murder mystery. Again, that didn't make it to this calendar, but Autumn Group was very excited about that idea. We're going to let her roll with that. So it's going to be a fun time. And then once we get into the new year, um, Wednesday, January 8th, youth will be back in session. And we don't have as much planned out yet for that, but we wanted to go ahead and let you all know about some important dates coming up with that half of the year. So youth camp is definitely going to be June 18th through the 21st. We're pretty well set on that. Um, and we're also pretty well set on this idea that we're going to need to know if your student wants to go to youth camp by the 19th of February. And I know that sounds early, but our district has to rent out the campground from another organization. So if your student is like 50-50 thinking they want to go, please let us know by that date. That way we can reserve the space. We can over reserve, we can't under reserve. And those spaces fill up very quickly. We'll get more information out to y'all closer to time, but just wanted to make y'all aware of that, and then we'll have like different points in which you'll have different deposits that will be due for that. Another big thing that we want to talk about too is fine arts. Oh, before I move on too quickly with that, um, if we don't have enough students signed up to go, meaning more than two families, like ideally we want like three families having students signed up to go or four kids to help us, be sure that we can justify going to camp. If we don't meet that minimum, and we get it, camp it's $250. The church usually helps out with about 100 of that. Plus you've got snacks and you've got to get all their clothes for that, and it gets pricey. We get it. If that falls through, there are a couple other alternatives that we have that are available as well. Let's see if I can get my mouse over to that screen. I can't. Um, you can see those, they're kind of outlined. Just tentative things that we have. Anything red is tentative for our calendar. And let's see. Oh, and one more thing with this too. This calendar is not 100% what we're going to be doing. Um, there's going to be room for other events like going to an Ice Flyers game or doing an outreach. It's not 100% set in stone. These are just things that we know we want to do, that Sarah and I can commit to leading. But if there's something else that you want for us to do that you'd be interested in leading yourself, please let us know. Um, it's a part of partnering with you guys. But yeah, let's get back to it. So, fine arts. We'll go ahead and do the honorable shout out to the called camp coming up. Fine arts. One of the things that the Assemblies of God does is Fine Arts Festival. This is a program to help kids explore and refine their ministry gifts and talents. Basically, anything that they can do creatively to minister in some way, whether that's drawing or painting, whether that is photography, whether that's sharing a short sermon that's like 5 minutes or less, or writing a chapter for a book, or playing guitar, or singing, whatever it is, and like leading worship, anything creative they can do that can be seen as ministry and can um, have kind of a gospel emphasis, they can go and participate in this festival. Lots of people are kind of competing, if you will, or mostly they're being evaluated on how well they're doing right now and how they can improve. Um, if they get a high enough rating, they can then go to National Fine Arts Festival, which I believe next year should be in Orlando, and that'll be like the week before school gets started. Really fun experience, really helps kids get a grasp for ministry. I did short sermon and youth choir growing up, and it was always fun. We can do stuff as a group, but it's going to be a lot easier if your student has something that they're good at doing solo. You know, um, we can try to do group stuff, but the solo entries are really where we're going to be able to make sure we're able to have some participation. So, um, yeah, we'll talk to you guys more about that closer to time, probably after the first of the year. Just wanted to get that in front of you. Next thing is outreach. We loved being able to help out with Miracle League this past spring. You can see Carter there with one of the students, helping him play baseball, boosting that self confidence, man. It was such a great time. We want to do more outreaches like this. Also, Caring and Sharing has their two big community outreach programs where they provide boxes of food at Thanksgiving and Christmas. We want for our teenagers to be a part of that, especially with the November option that's going to be coming up as well. You should see that in the calendar that's attached, not the one that was here, and more. So Drew mentioned when we were meeting with them that he'd love to see us doing some homeless outreaches, and that's something that he's done with their family, and we'd love to do stuff like that too. We don't have the bandwidth right now, just between Sarah and I, to plan out something like that. But if you've got an idea and you've got a passion for leading it, again, please let us know, which gets into our additional needs. Again, you heard me say that one of our big things this year is making sure that we're partnering with you, the parent, and working collaboratively together to make youth happen this year. So if you've got an idea for an event, please let us know. We'll check the church calendar, and if you can run with leading it, we'll share the ball there. We'd love to have your involvement there. And then to last thing here is help with snack suppers. We've got the budget to get pizza every week, but let's just be real. I think our kids got a little bit burned out on Domino's this past season. And also, it's good to have some variety. So if you'd be interested in even just picking up Domino's, because a lot of times when we got it to the church, it'd be cold, or if you would want to like provide sliders or some form of snack supper. We'd love to have you guys on board for that. And last but not least, this weekend, we're going to be making some improvements to the next gen wing. If you or your student would be interested in helping out with that, please let me know. We're going to be there from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Going to be taking down the big TV, replacing it with two little TVs, painting that back wall black. We're going to throw up some LED lights that we can do some cool effects with, and we're going to be running some cable through the walls. So I'd love to have some help with that. It shouldn't take too long in theory for us to get all that knocked out, and we're actually going to have a real sound booth because of this too, being able to control the sound. It's going to be great. So anyway, thank you so much for hopping on and catching up with us, and we look forward to seeing what God does in youth this year. We'll catch y'all later.